Since the passage of Dodd-Frank, only 72 new banks have been chartered. In contrast, in the 14 years preceding Dodd-Frank, more than 2,300 banks were formed. Furthermore, according to the FDIC, only 60 new banks have been chartered in the past decade. In contrast, more than 2,000 banks were formed between 1990 and 2008. The result of this almost complete halt of de novo bank formation, along with consolidation stemming from increased compliance costs, ballooning capital requirements, and bank regulators' negative posture on healthy mergers and acquisitions, has been an increase in banking deserts in the United States, specifically in rural areas. These banking deserts have meant that many Americans are pushed out of the reach of the financial system. To better serve families and small businesses in these local communities, it is paramount that we restore dynamism in the system, including through new bank formation and increased competition. What we're talking about are the small community banks that members of this committee on both sides of the aisle for years have said we all support. The Promoting Access to Capital Act takes steps to do exactly that by providing flexibility to promote de novo formation, new bank formation, to provide competition to bigger banks. This legislation provides for a 3-year phase-in period for de novo financial institutions to meet federal capital requirements. It lowers the community bank leverage ratio, or the CBLR, for rural community banks to 8% from 9% during the first 3 years of operation. So just a 1-point reduction as authorized by federal law in S 2155. It requires the federal banking agencies to promulgate rules setting the CBLR lower for the first two years of operation to allow a phase-in period. It removes some restrictions to allow federal savings associations to make agricultural loans, removes the ag loan concentration limit, requires the federal banking agencies to conduct a joint study on trends in de novo financial institutions as well. Additionally, the study included in this legislation was a result of bipartisanship between my Democratic colleagues and myself. Community banks are a key source of capital for individuals, homeowners, and small businesses. Community banks, small community banks, are the key source for new business formation and entrepreneurship in this country. They are the pillars of their community, and they can meaningfully contribute to the economic prosperity of our country, especially in areas where they operate. And these community banks are critically important in rural and underserved areas. So bottom line, we need more community banks. And that means more de novo bank formation to keep this important segment of the banking sector prospering and ready to serve Americans in urban and rural areas. This is something that members of this committee on both sides of the aisle have professed for years to support: small community banks. This vote is going to be a test about whether or not the rhetoric actually matches the voting record. Do you truly support small community banks, or do you not? This bill will create the record to decide whether or not members of this committee actually support community banks. And I would argue further, for financial stability, the key source of strength of our financial system is its diversity. If you are a critic of too big to fail banks, if you don't like large banks, why would you oppose creating more competition in the banking sector? This bill gives members the opportunity to vote in favor of more competition, more new bank formation. And to the extent healthy mergers need to happen because of distress in the mid-size or regional banking sector, if there is going to be consolidation because of various pressures in commercial real estate, or because of interest rate risk, or because of technological investment requirements, this is the way to backfill, to provide more diversity into the system with new bank formation in the form of de novo charters. With that, I urge my colleagues to support this legislation, support new bank formation, support providing financial services to banking deserts, to underserved parts of our country, so that Americans can achieve the American dream. And with that, I yield back.